Welcome to my channel, The Realm in Thinking. Please note that the video, the voice, and the translation from German to English were generated using AI. I'd love to hear your feedback. Do you find the quality to be satisfactory? However, the content itself is not AI generated, it is my own work. For those interested in German content, you can find more on my channel Das Reich im Denken. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, feel free to click on subscribe. Alright, let's get started. You have not seen this before. The Capital, the magnum opus of Marx brought, completed, fully structured and entirely formalized, integrated into Hegelian philosophy and German idealism, its link to materialism and communism clarified. The historical role of capitalism explained, all this and more, revealed in this video. In this video, I want to begin a new series in which I present Marx's Capital in a condensed and compressed form as formulas. This approach is based on the book Capital in Formulas by Oberlöcher. In this book, Marx's Capital is formalized and completed, and because it is thus completed, Marx is surpassed. The first version of the Formalization of Capital was published as early as 1969 by a working group led by Oberlöcher within the SDS, but it was only in the 1970s that it was fully developed. At this point, I would like to briefly delve into the theory and answer the question, what is capital? Money functions as a medium of circulation, and capital is the inversion of this function of money as a medium of circulation. Thus, money is transformed from a means of commodity exchange into an end in itself. Capitalism, therefore, is the inversion of subsistence-oriented self-sufficiency into a market economy. Whoever transacts from money to money for the sake of money itself is a capitalist. The book Capital in Formulas is divided into three parts. The first part addresses capital as the doctrine of the production of the market economy. This is Marx's theory of capital, but expressed in conceptual notation and compressed into linguistic formulas. The two other parts of the book continue and complete Marx's theory of capital. The prerequisite for completing capital was its formalization through conceptual notation. This formalization was achieved by arranging the theory's logical sequence of conclusions in a comprehensible manner. Capital is a philosophy of the world of commodities that has been completed into a comprehensive system of social science. The formalization used here, as in the formalization of Hegel's system, is not an attempt to replace thinking with calculation. Rather, it is a conceptual script that breaks Marx's elementary concepts into their conceptual elements. These elements are then designated with large Latin letters, recombined into the elementary concepts, and connected to form propositions using operators for causality, definition, and exchange. To understand this, one must recognize that Hegel's program of philosophy as science was continued by Marx in his theory of capital, in the sense that all categories are derived solely from the self-movement of the concept of the commodity. Self-movement means that the inner contradiction of the concept's moments is systematically developed. The continuation of Marx's theory of capital begins with the second part of this book, which deals with the distribution theory of the market economy, and concludes with the third part, which concerns the revenue theory of the market economy. Marx did not complete his theory. It ends with the development of the three factors of production: land, capital, and labor, and the derivation of the three main classes of bourgeois society: the landed property class, the capitalist class, and the working class. Thus, Marx did not elaborate on the theory of class struggle. It was only about 100 years later that Oberlöcher continued capital with the distribution schema as class struggle and the theory of foreign trade. Class struggle is nothing more than the price struggles between the providers in the market economy. The entire systematic theory stands or falls with the conceptual framework of German idealism and the dynamic power-oriented thinking of German philosophy. In his theory of surplus value, Marx derived the surplus product and its surplus value from the distinction between labor and labor power. In Kant, the growth of knowledge in synthetic, a priori judgments arises from the difference between thinking and the capacity for thought. Thus, Kant had already provided a nearly complete early version of Marx's theory of surplus value. How does Marx's theory of capital relate to Hegel's scientific system? Hegel's system of the idea delivered the first great comprehensive result of Western philosophy. Those who already understand what idea means in Hegel know that his system is the interconnectedness of three states: logic, nature, and spirit, as the idea in itself, out of itself, and returning to itself. The absolute idea is the complete agreement of the concept with its object. Logic, as the philosophy of thought, is a chain of deepening definitions of the absolute, moving from lower, less complex concepts to higher ones. It demonstrates a vertical structure, in which one foundational concept builds upon the next. The systematic theory of capital by Marx is not based on a conceptual approach opposed to Hegel's, but on the same conceptual approach. Hegel's system of the idea, as presented in the 1830 Encyclopedia, is not the last systematic design of German idealism. Capital begins with the concept of law in the objective spirit of Hegel's system. It is merely a branch, a colony, on the trunk of the Hegelian system. Marx cloned Hegel's concept of law and used it as the concept of the commodity. Every law is a possession, which is property. Every commodity is a good, which has a value for exchange. The commodity is the precise translation of Hegel's concept of law from legal language into economic language. In both cases, law or the commodity is an object to which a consciousness relation, that is the social, adheres. Hegel's program of philosophy as science was further developed by Marx in his theory of capital in the sense that all categories are derived solely from the self-movement of the concept of the commodity, and the individual contents are only moments of the whole. Thus Hegel's system retains its full validity in this constellation. The theory of capital has nothing to do with the philosophical theological question of materialism and atheism. Capital is a specialized philosophy of the market economy, derived from the fundamental concept of the commodity. Even the purely material labor process is idealistic, because in every act of labor, the thought precedes the deed. When I produce an object, I first have an idea in my mind of how this object should look. This idea is then realized in reality, and the object is worked on until it has been reshaped in accordance with my idea. In the end, the worked-on object is as it was in the idea. This is the living activity of spirit as the universal that distinguishes itself from itself and exists for itself in its distinctions. From Hegel's system, we can see where the concept of matter is situated in relation to all other concepts. Matter is not the fundamental concept of nature, but rather the contingent identity of space and time. It is the form in which nature's externality achieves its first internality and reflects into itself. Although Marx did not complete his theoretical work, the systematic framework he presented refuted his political program, the Communist Manifesto. From the theory of capital, none of the despotic measures of communism follow politically. Instead, what follows from capital is the idea that the state is the reality of the ethical idea and remains governable as a commercial state, whether open or closed. Communism is an Asiatic mode of production, not a Germanic one. Capital is the concept of the commodity unfolding in time, and thus the capitalist system from its inception is a revolutionary system. Capitalism first revolutionizes the simple commodity-money relationship by inverting the purpose of money into capital. At the same time, it negates all preceding conservative and thus pre-capitalist modes of production and social domains. As long as such domains exist, capitalism still has a historical task before it, and the only way to overcome the capital relation is through its universalization, not its rollback. Through a series of technical revolutions in production processes, production is subordinated to the capital relation, generating new products, which in turn lead to socio-structural upheavals. Starting from the multiplication and simplification of tools in manufactories, to digitization, full automation, robotics, and artificial intelligence, capitalism increasingly triumphs over its logical endpoint. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoyed what you saw and found value in our content, we would greatly appreciate it if you could give us a thumbs up.